Today, we're lucky enough to have one of our own members, Jamie Verbrugge, is going to be our main presenter. He has a number of guests, as you've already got a chance to hear them. And I think we need to make a quick switch on the computer. So with that, Jamie, do you want to come forward and we'll kind of get rolling on. So as many of you know, Jamie and a group of folks took a trip to the Ukraine over the summer. It was sponsored by Rotary. And when Jamie went, he was very clear that when he came back, he wanted to share what was a very rewarding experience that not only he had, but several other members. And he wanted to share that with the club as a program. And so we're lucky enough to be here today to hear that presentation. So, Jamie?
Hey, before, Jeff, why don't you stay here? Before we get started, Grace, why don't you come up here and take the picture? So one of the things we did was visit with the Rotary Club in Kiev. No, when I give it, hang on, we didn't stage manage any of this, that's the secret, okay? So we did go visit with the Kiev Rotary and had the exchange of flags. So I want to make sure that we present this to the chief, our club president, so that we can send it back to Sergey and Vladimir, our contacts at the Kiev Rotary, just to make sure that they see that we did this. So, all right, okay. All right, yeah, get a little closer. Yeah, we'll just hold it there. Hug.
Your phone's weird.
Okay, thank you. All right. So that's my professional photographer. I bring her everywhere I go. All right. Many of you saw us here in February, I believe. Jim Brimeyer and Karla Hill-Donisch from the board of Global Synergy Group, a nonprofit that is working to advance youth development, civic engagement, and leadership training in Ukraine and here in Minnesota, and fostering exchanges to do that. Jim's going to open the presentation. Grace will talk a lot about what the youth did while we were there. Karla will also chime in to share some things, and I'm just going to drive the PowerPoint for most of it. Okay? So, Jim Brimeyer.
And Grace is going to, you're going to talk about that.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. We're kind of improvising. I guess that's the right word. Some of you may remember this, that we were here, as Jamie said, several months ago, and we have had several exchanges with Ukraine since about 2011 was the first one. And I talked about that when we were here the last time. A year ago in August, we decided we'd send some kids over there. So 4 kids went. While they were there, they got with some kids in Ukraine, said, we should do an open youth forum and invite kids from all over Ukraine to do this. And I said, yeah, right, I don't think that's going to happen. But I presented it. They got it going. Then I decided maybe I should try to write a district small international grant for this. Have any of you ever done that? I've been in Rotary 42 years, and I'm not sure I'll ever do another one again. Thanks to Don Stiles, we got through it. Anyway, we got an $8,000 district matching grant. You guys put in $500. Our club put in $1,000, and Brooklyn Park Rotary put in $1,000. And some of you asked me, what do you expect out of this? And I said, I don't know. I have my fingers crossed. So for a new member that just got inducted, you're going to find over the career in Rotary, there's a lot of stuff you're going to start that works, and there's some stuff you're going to start that doesn't work. This one worked. Grace?
Hello, everybody. As my loving father said before, my name is Grace. I'm 16 years old. I'm a student at Visitation High School in Mendota Heights. I am an avid human rights activist. I'm involved in multiple groups in the Twin Cities area. And over the past summer, I went with 3 other youth, my father, Karla, Natalia, and a couple other people to Ukraine. We were there for 2 weeks, and this presentation kind of helps to explain our experience to those who couldn't be there. So this is a photo of our group with the City Council of Boryspil. Boryspil is a city in Ukraine. It's about 20 minutes out from Kiev, which is the capital. We met with their city council to exchange gifts. The City of Hopkins City Council, who is the sister city to Boryspil, provided us with a brick that had the City of Boryspil on one side and City of Hopkins on the other. We presented it to the Council of Boryspil, and they presented us with a set of traditional Ukrainian dolls to bring back to the Hopkins City Council. So after that, we took this photo with our group. So this was when we met with the mayor. This is the mayor of Bristol, and these are the dolls that I was telling you about. There's my dad presenting the presents, and this was our meeting with the City Council of Hopkins to discuss the matter and the trip. So after our meeting at City Hall, we went to the Children's House of Art, which is right next door. There were multiple children there who take classes at this location, and they showed us traditional dances, and there were a couple girls who sang pieces that were patriotic Ukrainian songs, so it was a really cool experience to see how proud they were of their country and of their culture. For those of you who don't know, Crimea is a region in Ukraine that was recently invaded by Russia. There was an uprising, Maidan, in Kiev not too long ago, and the people of Ukraine now more than ever are fighting for their right to be an individual country and to express their patriotism and their loyalty. So we went to Parliament in Kiev. We got a wonderful tour. This painting that we were all standing in front of represents the history and culture of Ukraine, and it's right in the center of the east wall, I think, of Parliament, and it was really cool to be able to see that and hear about how much they appreciate their culture and their heritage. So we got to go to this room, which is the equivalent of the House of Representatives. It's where they have all their congressional meetings, and it's, you know, architecturally similar to our House of Representatives and how it's laid out. But it was really cool just being able to be there and see this is where everything happens. This is where Congress and their congressional kind of group runs the country from. So it was really cool to be there. So while we were in Kiev, we also met with the Rotary Club. We exchanged flags from the Bloomington, Brooklyn Park, and St. Louis Park clubs. They also inducted their new president, which was really cool. So we got to see that whole process happen, and even though it was in Ukrainian, we were still able to understand so much of what they were talking about, and they talked about a lot of projects that they had going on, and it was really cool to see how it is an international group and how, you know, they do these exchanges and it's functional everywhere, not just in our own communities. So that was really cool. So this was the Open Youth Forum that we attended that we got the grant for. This was at the end of the 3 days. This group of kids, I have never seen a group so passionate about leadership and youth development. I mean, these kids, they were extremely enthusiastic about what we were doing. We had different lectures, we had multiple speakers, a lot of activities, and these kids were so interested in learning about all of us and learning about each other and where they were from, and they came from all over. They came from the Kharkiv region. They came from Kiev, Lviv, Donetsk, all over, and some of them came from very war-torn situations, but they were here and they were so enthusiastic about it. So this was our first day. We had a couple of sessions just kind of build teamwork. We grew a lot closer with the kids, kind of introduced ourselves, and we opened with a platform. It was the 4 Ukrainian youth and the adults that we had with us, just talking about what's going on in America, why we're there, and being the only foreign members of this forum, it was really kind of interesting to see what they wanted to know about us. We thought they would ask a lot more about the elections. Surprisingly, they didn't. They asked us a lot about what we were doing in our communities, what leadership activities we were taking part in. So, like I said before, they're really quite ecstatic about leadership activities. So, on day 2, we met with our groups. In the application to go to the forum, we had to write which one of 5 groups we wanted to participate in. We were given options including culture, education, media, ecology, and what was the other one? Social work. So I didn't really know what it was for. They just said, out of these 5 areas, which one would you be most interested in? I was just like, I don't know what this is for. So I selected culture. So on this day, we met in our groups. I was with about 10 other kids, all Ukrainian, so I had a translator who was helping me. And we were assigned we were given an assignment to create a project to kind of educate and demonstrate our area and to kind of advocate for it. So we met in our groups. On the third day, we worked in our groups like super hardcore, 7 hours straight working on this stuff. And so my group, Culture, we came up with a project and we're calling it the 365 Project. Every day for a year, each member of the group has to take one photo each day and submit it to a blog that we have running that we think really represents the culture that we find ourselves in. For example, yesterday I took a photo. I went to the Ukrainian Heritage Festival in Minneapolis, and I was able to take a photo of the flags down there with some of the traditional dresses that people were wearing. And it was really cool that even though I was in Minneapolis, I was surrounded by Ukrainian culture. So that was a really cool photo. Yeah, so these are just a couple more pictures. This is one of my friends. He was getting his certificate. Like I said, they're super excited about that. Like, he was just so excited to go. And then we did like a selfie. We had this whole like dance party thing, and it was just really cool to be there with everyone. So when we got back to Lviv, the forum was outside of the Lviv region. We volunteered at Gerlo, which is a center for children with disabilities. They take children from infancy up to the age of 30. They are considered youth in Ukraine until they are 30 years old. It's not an education center, it's a rehabilitation center. So these kids come from 9 o'clock in the morning until about 5, 6 at night. And they do activities to help them kind of grow, and despite their condition, they are able to do so much. So we worked in our groups. We split up into pairs and went to different classrooms. I was sent with one of our chaperones, Mary, to a little, I think it was 3 to 5 year olds. And these kids, some had mental disabilities, some had physical disabilities. They were telling them about the weather, and we got to go outside with them and push them in their strollers. We got to help feed them, and we took pipe cleaners to them and made little crowns. And the smile on their face was just adorable. I don't know any other way to describe it, but just seeing them light up. They loved having someone new there, just connecting with them, because in Ukraine they don't get that a lot. There's very much a mentality, out of sight, out of mind. They see those who have disabilities as inferior. So Gerlo is one of the only centers that really treats these kids as equals, and just being able to see how they can express themselves is really cool. So some of the most impactful events, our group of youth all sat down together and we were trying to figure out for this presentation, well, what affected us the most, right? So we decided that these were the 3 most important events that we had. Our trip to Borispol, where we connected with people who were involved with the exchange program from the beginning of all of it since 2011. Being able to kind of see where that was sourced from, seeing how their city council was involved, the kids that we met at the council meeting, and seeing how it all really started and how they're still very involved in that. It was kind of empowering to know that we were a part of that. The Open Youth Forum, the 3 days that we were there were very powerful. Those 90 kids, I'm still in touch with about 40 of them, and they still continue to discuss leadership values with me on a regular basis, and just seeing what's going on with them and being able to kind of learn more about each other, exchange ideas. That was something that was really important, I think, to not only my development, but everybody else that was there. We all exchanged so much that all of us felt very clearly more empowered and more prepared to go and do better things for society in general. And then the third most impactful thing that we did, we all agreed that we really would have liked to spend more time at Gerlo, being able to spend time with those kids and being able to really help them grow and express themselves. Just being there and seeing how the staff there are actively trying to create a better message for disabled people in the country and trying to better that reputation, and just seeing how they're doing that and knowing that we can be a part of that as well and help that grow. That was really empowering as well. So we would just like to thank, none of my cohorts could be here today. They all have other business to tend to. But on behalf of all of them, I would like to thank all of you, especially for the grant. We couldn't have done it without the funding from Rotary. I know I had to receive another grant. I received a scholarship from my school for an extra $1,000, and I probably wouldn't have been able to go if I hadn't had the funding. So all of us are really immensely appreciative of the work that all of you guys do. I know I want to be a Rotarian as soon as I can. I mean, I'm only 16 and I've already been to like 4 Rotary meetings, so yeah. But yeah, the work you guys are doing is really empowering, and I would like to express our gratitude and just to show you guys that what you're doing really does have an impact on my generation and helping us advance the future of our society. So thank you.
Do you want to talk a little bit about some of the continuing efforts of the facilitators right now? Because the youth forum didn't necessarily just end at the end of the 3 days. They kept working.
So there were a group of facilitators. There were a group of facilitators from around the country of Ukraine as well. And so when we left, it doesn't just leave the project and end it. They came up with ideas of what they wanted to do, much like what Grace described. And in a number of the regions now, they are going forward with what it is that they came up with. My son, who was able to go, was in the ecology group. And what they were doing is moving into a small community. One of the girls was from there. And she said, I would like to have a recycling day to do education in my small community. And so she was using her team to help her do that. So it moves on, and we hope that as the year progresses, we hear from more of the teams that are out there in figuring out what they would like to do. And I have a special thanks to Natalia, because she really was an initial part of this entire program and has seen us through a number of things. And as we move forward to the future of where will it be, there's another group that is going in the spring to Kharkiv, and from that, there was a huge group of youth from there. And we know that good things will be coming, and that we'll be doing more exchanges with youth as we go forward. I, as a parent, would like to thank you so much for your donations and for your hard work and for the grant. My son, I would say, exponentially grew as a leader there. And he went up to the young man who was kind of the main guy in charge and said at the end, I would like to help in the future for this. If you're planning for next year, I'd like to be a part, and I'd like to bring more students back here with me. So we're hoping that the group that put this all together can do it again. They were amazing in that they had 300 applications for this event. They could only house 90. And so that is the number that they accepted, and it wasn't, if you put on your application you were interested in learning more English or connecting with Americans, your application was thrown out. It was about, do you want to be a leader? How are you a leader? And how can you make a difference in your own communities and Ukraine as a whole? So we will be moving forward and look forward to the progress of next year. So you have in front of you what we did this year, and our hope is just to grow even more so. Jim, you have?
Here, you want to jump back in?
You want to talk about
No.
specifics of the grant and what it was used for?
Well,
I can-
go ahead
yeah.
and wrap up. I just have a couple closing comments, but I
Okay.
want Natalia to talk about a project that's going on.
Good.
Remember, we have to adjourn by 1:50.
We do. So the district grant from Rotary was really unusual because, as I understand it, most of those grants go for brick and mortar projects. So the fact that the district was willing to invest in what is essentially a capacity building project with young people was really unique. And so it was really important for us to make sure that we demonstrated some success. My own opinion in watching those kids over those 3 days actually I got to stop saying kids, because they're really amazing young people, and they came together really well. They had a tremendous vision. They developed some incredible skills to get outcomes, and they're continuing to live those outcomes. So I'm hoping that when we report back, or whatever report back we have to do, that we're going to show that you know, it's the same way as laying a foundation for building as we're laying the foundation for people to be successful, especially in an area of the world where that kind of leadership can really make a difference. So again, thanks to Don and thanks to Mary, who co-signed for our club, for supporting the grant application along with St. Louis Park and Brooklyn Park, because it made a huge difference. The grant itself covered much of the cost of the forum. So that was what Global Synergy Group was contributing to this, is with the assistance of the Rotary, essentially sponsoring this forum for these kids to come together. So in my mind, it was a great success.
Okay, thank you, you're done.
Good. Can you tell I used to be a city manager?
Yeah. I know, city managers are one cut below attorneys. Attorneys always have to say in 10 pages what you could say in one. You know you know they teach you that in Legal 101 at the University of Minnesota. I want to make a comment about the grant though, because we had a hard time getting a sponsoring club in Ukraine to go with us. And so one of the folks that came here and visited in 2011 stayed at our house, Vladimir. He was involved in the Kiev Rotary Club, and he admonished the Lviv Rotary Club for not getting involved, and they both got involved eventually. But one thing I forgot to mention, though, as Don knows, as we were just about getting done, Don said, there's one more thing you have to do. And I said, oh, God, now what? The country of Ukraine is on some kind of economic sanction with the U.S. State Department, if I got that right. So we had to go through another whole form to fill out to demonstrate that the money we were taking over there would not be given to individuals, that it would be spent with groups or organizations. They would not accept a check. They would not accept a credit card. So we sent Karla and Irina over there with about $5,000 or $6,000 in cash. And we had to get receipts for every dime spent, and we did. The kids you saw up there, that was about the 90 kids you saw. They had 300 kids from Ukraine apply to get into this youth forum. They selected 90. They self-selected them. They had language differences. They had a fight about whether they should speak Russian or Ukrainian. Is that correct? And that's when Irina, and because some of the kids came from Eastern Ukraine, where the war's still kind of going on, and they speak Russian, and that was the day that was spent. We're all one culture, we're all the same, but we're different, but we're all the same. That was a powerful message for those kids on that first day. And I do want to say this. Our kids really did us proud. And that's a good example right there. They did some projects, and I want to talk about one that's already happening in Kharkiv.
Yeah, just briefly wanted to share about one of the projects that just happened this Sunday. I haven't heard about the results yet, but that was a result of the forum. So the kids during the forum, just like Grace said, they came together and they worked on their theme project that they want to do in their communities when they come back after forum. That was the whole idea. So one of the teams of those students came to Kharkiv and they planned this big event called Family Picnic, where they anticipated to have about 300 to 500 people together to celebrate family, to celebrate, just coming together as a community, the nature that is around us, and the kids, volunteers, put it all together with just a slight help and facilitation of adults who were also involved during the forum. And that was a beautiful thing that they got to see as a result of their, ideas, running around during forum. Hopefully we'll announce more and you will be able to see more on our Facebook page and hopefully on our on our website in the future. But we already see the results of the forum coming into action, and we are super excited about that.
Anything else? You done?
Yeah.
Okay. So you never know where this stuff is going to go. Right now, Irina Fersman is in Ukraine. She's meeting with representatives from Kharkiv. We expect she's going to come back. We have a board meeting October 3rd. Come back with a memorandum of understanding where there will be an exchange of business and civic leaders We think Bloomington might be the primary American destination, but that's kind of up in the air a little bit. And we're pretty sure Kyiv will be the Ukrainian destination. That's a little working on also. But again, as I go back to May of 2011, who'd have thunk it? And that's kind of where we are today. So my only closing comment is I spent a lot of time in your city, up and down Highway 100 going to Minnesota Valley Country Club. So Chief, sometimes I'm in a hurry, okay? I drive a red PT Cruiser, if the guys can kind of watch it. Thank you very much.
You know, Jim, we'll definitely keep that in mind, but you know, you never know who's on the district grant committee when you're insulting the attorney in the room, so just keep that in mind. They're usually pretty generous, but on behalf of our club and a small token of appreciation, I know we had multiple presenters, but we're only going to give out 2 pens today. We're going to give them to Natalia and Grace. Thanks for your presentation today. It's hard to believe you're only 16, and probably as a future Rotarian, we'd like you to come and maybe check us out here in the future as far as we're concerned. Natalia, thank you for your presentation today.